An underclass that could grow to encompass basically every current worker, doomed to a life of servitude to AI robots and billionaires. Wow, are you about to become economically worthless? It's a heavy, completely apocalyptic question, but honestly, it's circulating nonstop in tech circles right now. We're talking about the looming threat of what industry insiders are calling the permanent underclass.
Welcome to The Explainer. I am so glad you're here today because we're doing a deep dive into the true origins and, frankly, the hidden, sometimes contradictory agendas behind this terrifying new buzzword. We're going to break down where this fear really comes from, how tech companies are actively using it, and why it is absolutely going to shape our political future.
Okay, here's our agenda for today. First, the origins of the underclass. Second, automation versus AI fears. Third, Silicon Valley's PR paradox. Fourth, the populist tech backlash. And finally, AI in the 2028 election. Let's get right into it.
Section 1. Origins of the underclass. Let's start by grounding this concept in its actual historical roots. You see, this idea didn't just fall out of the sky with the invention of ChatGPT. The term was actually coined by economist Gunnar Myrdal way back in the 1960s to describe post-war factory workers displaced by automation. Listen to a specific definition. Myrdal observed that when technological change swept in, these factory workers didn't just lose their jobs. They were pushed entirely to the margins. They experienced severe economic, social, and civic exclusion. They couldn't easily reskill, which led directly to generational poverty. So the underclass wasn't just about being poor. It was about being completely cut off from participating in everyday civic life.
Section 2. Automation versus AI fears. Let's fast forward and see how this historical concept morphed into today's anxieties.
The contrast between the two is pretty wild. Back in the 1960s, automation disrupted very targeted physical factory jobs. The theory was, hey, if a machine replaces one specific task, a human could theoretically adjust and reskill for a different task, right? But modern AI, it's a whole different ballgame. It targets generalized cognitive labor. We're talking about writers, coders, highly educated knowledge workers. The fear driving the modern permanent underclass meme is that because AI improves its own cognitive abilities way faster than humans can learn new skills, everyone, from an entry-level analyst to a senior software engineer, will literally be permanently frozen in their current economic class. The apocalyptic fear here is that you will never earn money again, simply because an AI can do it better and cheaper.
Section 3. Silicon Valley's PR paradox. Now, let's move to the boardrooms of Silicon Valley. It's a truly bizarre reality that the tech industry leaders themselves are the ones amplifying this exact fear. Just look at OpenAI's evolving narrative. It exposes a lot. Back in 2021, they were putting out idealistic economic research on labor impact. But by 2023, things changed. As they grew into a mega corporation, independent research was basically silenced, and political lobbyists like Chris Lehane were brought in. Leadership didn't want to publish research that made AI look like a threat to jobs. Yet, jump to the present day. As political winds have shifted and public anger has grown, they've pivoted back, suddenly releasing white papers proposing progressive, pro-worker policies. It's a complete flip-flop.
And here is the ultimate paradox. OpenAI pushes progressive policies like 32-hour work weeks and blog posts, while simultaneously using super PACs to aggressively lobby against politicians who try to enact similar legislation. Then we have Anthropic. They act as this honest Cassandra, publicly warning that up to 50% of white-collar jobs will disappear. But their core business? Selling the exact enterprise AI agents explicitly designed to replace those exact white-collar workers. They are literally warning us about the fire while selling the matches.
So, what's the result of all this apocalyptic messaging coming from the top? Well, it trickles down into a self-fulfilling prophecy. Among young tech workers, the pervasive meme is exactly this. I gotta start a startup or get equity to escape the permanent underclass. It's wild, but the fear essentially acts as a brilliant marketing tool. It drives workers to hyper-adopt AI out of pure economic survival. They feel if they don't use AI to claw their way to the top and become capital owners, they'll be stuck at the bottom forever.
Section 4. The populist tech backlash. Let's shift from corporate marketing to the streets.
We have to look at what happens when average citizens feel totally left out of this conversation. And I'm telling you, the backlash is not theoretical. It is happening right now. We've seen a Molotov cocktail thrown at OpenAI CEO Sam Altman's home. In Indiana, a local lawmaker facing 13 shots fired at his door just over a data center zoning approval. There are aggressive pushes from citizens for total moratoriums on data center construction and even localized protests trying to ban self-driving cars. This is real-world populist rage brewing.
When people feel like they are part of a broken system and the normal channels of democratic voice don't work, they try to ban the thing that is going to take their job. That perfectly encapsulates why this is happening. When citizens lack a structured democratic channel to voice their profound economic anxiety about AI, they resort to extreme localized sabotage against tech infrastructure. If you're terrified your job will be automated and you feel the government has zero plan to save you, you're going to fight the physical manifestations of that technology right in your own backyard.
Section 5, AI in the 2028 election. Finally, let's project how this grassroots rage is directly laying the groundwork for our upcoming political battles. 2028. Now, right now, Washington, D.C. has been somewhat slow to act. Why? Well, broad unemployment data still looks relatively stable, and lawmakers tend to wait for a crisis to fully materialize. But the immense vocal pressure from terrified voters virtually guarantees that AI and job displacement will be the flagship issue by the 2028 elections. Politicians are realizing they absolutely have to get ahead of this.
Behind closed doors, lawmakers are brainstorming heavily right now. To differentiate themselves and appease these anxious workers, expect to see candidates running on exactly these platforms: universal basic income and AI dividends, comprehensive wage insurance, guaranteed public works jobs programs, 32-hour work-week mandates, and public wealth funds. Politicians are going to have to promise Americans a solid safety net if this permanent underclass scenario actually starts to become a reality.
What makes this so uniquely fascinating is that it's a completely bipartisan fear. The anxiety of job displacement and economic ruin crosses all political lines. Unlike almost every other issue today, the terror of losing your livelihood to a machine doesn't neatly follow normal partisan divides. A clerical worker in a rural area and a junior software engineer in a coastal city are feeling the exact same anxiety. It crosses all political aisles, making it a universally potent campaign tool for politicians on both the left and the right. I want to leave you with this final thought today. We've seen how the permanent underclass meme grew from a 1960s historical reality to a Silicon Valley PR paradox and now into a simmering populist backlash. So the question we must all ask ourselves is this: will AI inevitably freeze us in a permanent underclass dictated by corporations, or will human democracy step in and rewrite the code? Thank you for joining me for this explainer. Keep learning, keep asking questions, and I'll catch you in the next one.